Hi guys, in my previous video I showed you guys how to make the upper part of this beautiful gown, and in today's tutorial you'll be learning how to make the down parts. It came with a ruffle and a wrap and also a belt which you're going to be tying on the waistline. So if this is what you're interested in learning, please keep on watching and let's get started. So guys, I'll be making all my cuttings on this lining piece before transferring to fabric. So first of all, I've marked out the starting point, which is going to serve as the waistline. Now before I mark out the length of my gown, I'm going to have to take away the half length, okay, which is the upper bodies, 18 inches. So from shoulder to the waistline is 18 inches, and then from the shoulder to the length of my gown is 43 inches. Okay, I hope you guys understand. Now that I've marked out the length of my gown, I'm going to place my tape on the starting point and then mark out my hip length. That is from the waist to the hip is 8 inches. Now from the waist to the knee length is 18 inches. I'm going to mark, so you guys, you can see now that I have my waistline, the hip line, the knee line, and then the length of my skirt. Okay, now remember this is a skirt that we are cutting, not minding that this is a gown. I hope you guys understand. So we are just making only the down part of this gown. Okay, now I'm going to place my tape on the waistline and divide the waist circumference by 4 and then mark it out. Now I'm not going to be using any form of darts for this particular skirt, and then I'm going to move over to the hip and then divide the hip circumference by 4, mark it down, and then on the knee length I'm going to minus 2 inches from whatever it is I have as my hip circumference. Okay, so the hip circumference right there is 11.5 inches. Now for the knee I use 9.5 inches. I hope you guys understand. Now guys, from here I'll go ahead and add up my 2 inches sewing allowances and then connect the points together. After connecting the points, I'll move over to the waistline and then I'll add up 1/2 inch to the upper part. Now this 1/2 inch, I'll be using it to join this down part to the upper part of my gown. So I'll go ahead and cut my skirt block. Okay, remember this is for the front. Now after cutting these fronts, I'll go ahead and fold another fabric so that we cut out the back. So I am done cutting out the front piece. Now it is time for us to move over to the back. So I'll be folding my fabric into 2 again. Now I'll go ahead and mark the starting point again, and from the center fold of the back I'll be coming in by 2 inches. Now after marking out these 2 inches, I'm going to connect it using a straight line. So this line becomes my zipper allowance, and then I'm going to bring in the front piece, place it just immediately after the 2 inches mark, and then I will go ahead and outline all my hip measurements, the knee lengths, and every other part, as you can see me doing like this. Now once I'm done with this, next thing I'm going to do is add up my butt allowance of 1/2 inch. Now after adding it up, I'll go ahead and add up my 1 inch zipper allowance. I'll move over to the waist again and add 1 inch zipper allowance, and on the knee length 1 inch zipper allowance down to the length. I hope you understood what I just did. So I'm going to connect all the points together. So what I did right there was on the hip line, I'm going to repeat again, I added butt allowance of 1/2 inch before adding up 1 inch for zipper allowance, then moved over to the waist, added 1 inch for zipper allowance, and then to the knee and also to the length. Now I'm trying to cut this out following the shape of my front block. I hope you understand. So now I am almost done with the back. Okay, so I'm going to cut out the zipper allowance and you guys, we are done. So after cutting out the zipper allowance, please do not forget to notch your zipper allowance, okay? And then remove the front, and please endeavor to chalk the wrong side of the fabric, okay? So now that I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and remove the back, okay? So I'll just simply remove this back and then fold another fabric, because for this front we need 2 pieces of it, okay? So you can see this is my front on the table, and I've folded another fabric into 2. So exactly what I have right at the front here, I'm going to also cut it out on this new lining that I've just folded. So guys, as you can see on top of the table, I have 2 pieces of my front piece. So I'm going to unfold them and place it on top of each other. Now, because this is a lining, you might not understand what I'm going to explain here. So I'm going to assume this is my actual fabric. You know that actual fabric comes with the wrong parts and the right parts, okay? So the one underneath should be right side facing the wrong part of the one on top. I hope you guys understand. And then you're going to go ahead and use your pins to hold them in place. You know, I'm going to alterate this, okay? So that's why you need to use your pins. Please work with your pins, especially if you're a beginner, because you don't want this to be shifting while you are trying to create your wrap design, okay? So I've gone ahead to mark left and right, and you know that our wrap always goes from right to the left, so that's why I need to indicate that. Now after that, from the down part of the right side, go up by 7 inches, okay? And then from the left side, I'm going to remove my 2 inches seam allowance before going in by 2 inches, okay? Now from the middle part, I'm going to go down by 14 inches and then connect all these points together. Now you can see I'm using my hip curve to connect the points together. You can as well eyeball this. Actually, after marking this out with my hip curve, I also went ahead to use my freehand to blend them up together, as you can see. So now after connecting the points, I'll go ahead and cut it out, and that is the design that I want for my wrap, okay? That is actually the design on the inspiration we are looking at. I hope you guys understand, okay? So whatever style of wrap that you have on yours, go ahead and make use of that, okay? So guys, I am done with all of that. I'm trying to remove my pins, and you guys, this is equally the back. So I'll go ahead and cut this out on my actual fabric, which I did off camera, okay? So now to cut out the wrap parts, you are going to ensure that the actual fabric, okay, is right side facing the lining. I hope you guys understand. So here they are on the table. I am done with cutting them out. Now I'm going to turn all of my skirts with the lining and then keep it by the side, okay? Now after turning all the skirt parts with the lining, both the front and the back, it is time for us to turn the wrap, okay? Now before we turn the wrap parts, we have to cut out the pieces for our ruffle and also for our belts, because we need them to be able to turn these wrap parts, okay? So guys, I have on top the table the pieces for my ruffles, okay? So you can see I have 2 pieces right here. The length is 45 inches into 2 and the width is 9 inches. 9 inches because I'm going to fold the hem using 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to join these 2 pieces together right at the center so that I will have a longer pieces. Now I'll go ahead and gather it so that I'll use it for my ruffle. Now for the belt, I have in width 2.5 inches, so I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch and I'll be left with width of 2 inches, okay, and then the length is by 45 inches. So I'll sew it and turn it over to the right side. Now here is the pieces for my wrap. So I'll be turning the upper parts. The side is going to be left open, and then this curvy part I will also be turning it. Now before I turn this, I need to have gathered my ruffles and turned my belt, which I've done, so you can see them on top the table. Okay, so just make sure you gather your ruffle to be the same size with the curvy part of this your wrap part. Okay, so you can see I'm trying to adjust it properly because it's still longer than that curvy part. Now what I'm going to do is, you should please take note that the right side of the actual fabric is facing the right side of the lining. Now first of all, I'm going to place in my belts. Before I place in my belt, I'm going to go down by ½ an inch. Okay, and that is actually for a reason, because I need to turn the upper parts with ½ an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it up with my pin. Can you see? And then I will also place in my ruffle. Now I'm going to make sure that none of this ruffle is more gathered than any of the parts. I don't know if you understand me, so please make sure that you adjust it properly, okay, so that none will be fuller than each other. So after arranging it, go ahead and place in your lining on top just like this. So you can see that we just sandwich the ruffle and the belt in between the actual fabric and the lining. I'll move over to my sewing machine, stitch it and top stitch. Now before I top stitch, I'm going to cut off some excess fabric right there, so that after top stitching and I iron it, it will stay flat. So guys, I am done and you can see what I have. Now the side is open. I'm going to top stitch on top of it and then weave the rough edges. So guys, after that, here is my front pieces of the skirts, and then I'm now going to go ahead and from the waistline go down by ½ an inch. Okay, now this is where I'm going to place in my ruffle parts. Okay, so you can see I went down because I need ½ an inch to join to the upper part. That's why you can see that I went down by ½ an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch it up by the side. Okay, so now after that, I will equally join the two parts of my back pieces. So here are the two parts. I'm going to join the zipper allowance. Okay, so I'm trying to mark out the zipper allowance, and after that I'm going to go and stitch it. So after marking this out, I will join from the waistline to 9 inches with a loose stitch, and from the down part of my skirts to 8 inches I will leave a space for my slit, and the remaining part I will stitch it up with a tight stitch. So guys, as you can see, I am done joining the ruffle parts to the front part of my skirt, and here we go. This is what we have. You can see how the ruffle looks, and the belt is going to the left part. Now we are going to put the second belt to the right side. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to place it on the right and then use my pin to hold it. Now after that, I'm going to bring in the back because I am done joining the back. Okay, so I've actually gone ahead behind the camera to mark out the shape which I'm going to join. Okay, so here is the shape, and remember this is a gown, so I'm not going to be joining the shape now. I just wanted to show you so you know what it should look like had it been you are making this into a skirt. But since it is a gown, we are going to have to join to the upper part first. Okay, so I'm going to be bringing in the upper parts, which I've actually showed you guys how to make in my recent tutorial. So guys, I'm going to open up the upper parts, and then first of all I'm going to join the down parts to the upper parts. Okay, both the front and the back. So after joining it, this is what I have. Now I'm going to make sure that I sandwich the belts in between the front and the back, and then follow the shape that I've created to stitch it up together. Okay, so you can see what I'm trying to show you guys right there. So after stitching them, you guys, this is what I have. Now I'm going to turn it over to the back. I've equally gone ahead to fixing my zipper. Okay, so this is actually so simple. Now I'm going to tie it up so that you guys can see and equally close the zipper. I'll go ahead and cut out the sleeve, fix it into the armhole, and then next thing you're going to see is the final look of this gown on the mannequin. Okay, so you guys, this is actually how to make the down part of this beautiful gown. It is very simple, and I hope you guys found value in this tutorial. If you do, please do make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it so that more people can get to see it. I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye.